So slow living gets talked a lot about online, but rarely in the way that actually applies to working mom everyday life. Right now, my church is doing 28 days of prayer and fasting, and whenever we do that, I always go back and reread or re-listen to the book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer, and I think about the principles that are in this book that I apply to my everyday life. So today I thought I would walk you through the 4 spiritual disciplines from this book and how I apply it to my everyday life. It is not about doing more, it's about doing less, but with purpose. And if you like content like this, please give this a thumbs up, and I would love for you to subscribe. So the first spiritual discipline that he mentions in the book is silence and solitude. This is quiet time, and this is really where slow living begins to me. So Jesus, if you look at how he lived out his life, he always prioritized quiet time with his Father. Even when people were demanding his attention, he prioritized quiet time. And so for me, I try to implement this in my life day to day with a good morning routine that includes quiet time. So my morning routine is going to always consist of prayer, gratitude, devotional time, and meditation. And I know that depending on the season of life that you are in, it is hard sometimes for this to truly be quiet. So for me, I wake up earlier, but if you are not able to wake up early, or if you have babies maybe that wake you up first, I say try to do this wherever you can. So maybe this is 5 minutes in the pickup line while you are waiting for your kids. Maybe it's while you're folding laundry or doing, 5 minutes after or before bedtime routine, just wherever you can consistently. The second spiritual discipline that he mentions is Sabbath, and this is going to be your rhythm of rest. So rest includes sleep, but it's not just sleep alone. But I do think that sleep is prioritized in this for me. And I prioritize sleep as foundation because if I am overexhausted, I feel like everything else is going to be rushed. But this also means for Sabbath for me is a weekly rhythm of worship, going to church with my family, giving our tithes and offering, also making sure we are serving when we can. And I know that Sundays can be really, really full, so I think it's important to try to set up your week in a way that you can not only do a good weekly reset, but also get the time to rest. So for me, I'm doing my weekly resets often on Saturday instead of Sunday, so I get to rest, especially on days that I'm serving a long day at church. It's really important for me to try to do everything I need to do on Saturday, and that way I get some time to rest on Sunday. He also mentions in the book that part of Sabbath and this weekly rhythm of rest also includes delight. So not only are we worshiping, but we're finding delight in the Lord and in our family and the things that he has blessed us with. So I learned that true joy and delight for me looks like engaging with people, especially my family during this time. I am introverted by nature, so I really try to make sure I am trying to spend some time with some people. So family game nights, kids activities and events, maybe going to the amusement park or just driving them places and really being present, having conversations with them in the car or at the dinner table, watching a movie together on the same screen instead of doing our own thing on separate screens. These are just little ways that we can spend time together and truly find delight in each other. He also mentions in the book a Sabbath from your phone, which I really want to get better at. I think with my job, I often tell myself that I can't do this because I couldn't possibly be away from my phone for that long. Somebody might need me, but I think that's really just a lie from the enemy, if I'm being honest, and I should be able to find maybe not the whole day, but at least a couple hours where I can just totally shut off my phone. So I think this year I'm going to try to spend more time consistently on Sundays, giving my phone a break. So the third spiritual discipline that he mentions in the book is simplicity. And I'm actively working on this right now. If you watched a video from a few weeks ago that was simplifying my life in 2026 with systems, you will know that I am decluttering, and that is a big focus for me for this year. So how this looks for me is actively decluttering again, acknowledging that we just have way too much stuff, asking myself the question, do we actually need this? Like when I'm looking at stuff in our house, but also maybe before I purchase something, also questioning, why do we have so many water bottles? I think it's also important to remember that simplicity is not just about stuff. This could be applied to our routines and systems. So if you are doing things or adding things to your morning routine or whatever routine or system, and it's really not serving you well, you might just want to remove it. I think it's really important to pay attention to what or who you are being influenced by, and you don't need to add every single thing you see to your morning routine. I also do this in my systems like my bullet journal, for instance. I really have simplified that and just use what I need to be productive and functional in my everyday life. So I have a very simple bullet journal. I prioritize and execute what I need to do. I have a simple digital Notion backlog. I'm no longer tracking dashboards that are complicated or I don't really use. Systems like Getting Things Done or Second Brain are attractive and they seem like they are going to make things better or maybe more productive or more efficient, but I've found that they are just so complicated and they really don't serve me well. I think that simplifying can also apply to our consumption. So removing influencers who constantly prompt me to buy things, especially things that I don't need. So being intentional about who I follow, asking, does this content, inspire contentment or consumption? I've also tried on working hard to find my true holy grails for skincare. I know that everybody talks about their holy grails, but what I mean by this is sticking to what actually works for me. So avoiding this constant trying to buy the next thing, this thing's going to work, the promise of this thing, and then it actually doesn't work. Trying to have more contentment in the stuff that I do have. Using up what I do have. Fewer products means less decisions and less clutter physically and mentally. The final discipline is slowing, and this might be one of the hardest ones to live out. For me, slowing looks like being present in everything I do. So being present with my kids. So when they were younger, being present and playing with them. Now that they are getting older and have their own activities to do, this is about having real conversations and taking an interest in their lives and truly listening to them. But it's also about doing slow activities. So doing game nights together instead of just being on our screens. And as they get older and they have their own activities to do, I want to replace that with slow activities that I can do on my own. So things like playing the guitar, writing songs, watching long form YouTube over scrolling shorts, choosing movies over binge watching TV episode, baking, so things like sourdough or cooking brownies, reading while listening to audiobooks, and truly staying focused while reading. So for me, it's been hard just to open a book and read it honestly. So a lot of times I will get the book from the library, but I will also download the audiobook and I will listen to it as I am reading it because it's been hard for me to focus. And that's a skill that I've been working on. Slowing might also look like going for a walk. For me, it stops the fast-paced rhythm of my workday and helps me ease into my evening. And the walk itself, sometimes I can find myself rushing through, and a lot of times I'll listen to an audiobook or podcast while I walk, but I often find myself unplugging my headphones and just listening to the sounds of nature or waiting to hear God's voice and what He wants to impress upon my heart while I'm walking. So something else Comer talks in the book is about these little small intentional acts that we can do to retrain our brains. So like stopping fully at a stop sign or driving the speed limit blows my mind. But doing these things retrain us to live without constant urgency. So that is creating this automatic slowness in our life. So I've been thinking also more about like waiting to make Amazon purchases. I have Amazon Prime, and a lot of times we might get something the same day just because we can. But do I really need to? And so I want to be better at planning the things that we do need, but also I don't need that instant gratification all the time. So it's really just making those decisions to live like that more consistently. So to wrap up this video, slow living does not mean you are doing less because you are lazy. It means that you are doing less so you can live and love more fully. These 4 disciplines, silence and solitude, Sabbath, simplicity, and slowing, aren't about adding more to your plate. They're about removing what's stealing your peace. If this video resonated with you, I would love for you to like it, subscribe, and share in the comments how you're practicing slow living in your current season. Truly, I'd love to hear it. And remember, we do not need to rush through this life that God gave us. Thanks.